All right, y'all. Don't forget this Saturday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, we will be doing a town hall. We're hosting and moderating a town hall meeting this Saturday at 7 p.m. We are asking the question: will you support a child who wants to transition? And we are definitely going to be talking about that. We have some special guests going to be joining us for that town hall. We got John and his wife, myself, including other people that's going to call in and actually hit the link. It's going to be a 1 hour town hall. Definitely looking forward to it. This is not a bashing session. This is a session where the public will be able to give their opinion. The backdrop of this is when Dwayne Wade's son, now daughter, transitioned. So we are going to be talking about that this Saturday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, streaming live right here on the Wiley Show. And also, I think we're going to have your Next X going to be joining us as well for this town hall. I'm looking forward to it. I am nervous, you guys, for this town hall all over. I'm just nervous. My nerves have been through the roof. My proper research on the topic, just really, really nervous. The reason why I'm nervous is because I don't want the LGBTQIA community to be upset, because obviously some of them are upset in the community anyway, because I decided to, deal more women now than men. So, but that will be this Saturday. And this is not a town hall to be against or for. This is a town hall for a conversation for the people to join in. I appreciate you all that's coming in. I think my friend Jess Zoe will be joining us as well. So I want to make sure I look into that. That will be this Saturday at 7 p.m. So I'm looking forward to it. I know a lot of people are going to be upset at what I'm gonna have to say. I'm gonna give you a pre-warning on that. We are definitely gonna bring it for the town hall, and that will be this Saturday. I'm looking forward to it. I've already released the flyer on our IG as well. That is the official flyer for our town hall. If you need a copy of this, if you want to send it to some people, you can always email me at wileyshowproductions@gmail.com. If you want to share this on your social media, you can definitely share it on your social media as well. And that is wileyshowproductions@gmail.com. I will send you a copy of the flyer. I'm looking forward to it. And this is our first, thing that we're producing under our production side. So we also have other topics that we're going to dive into. Someone said, Wiley, I would love a town hall meeting, on mental health. And then another person reached out to a town hall meeting on the drug use in the community. So it's just so many ideas and so many people want to get involved. We have reached out to some people as well. We sent some invitations out to some people. Today, we're going to be sending out some more invitations to some people. Definitely be great. Now, yesterday, we did a live, and I filed a copyright complaint to some couple of content creators that have been using our content. All right, using our content without our permission. We sent out a couple of them out today because we work really hard for our content. I do not give anybody permission. There's only one person. That person is Coffee City that we gave permission to use our content. And she was only able to use maybe a minute of it. But we do not allow people to use 20, 30, 40 minutes of our content because we work very hard for our content. If you want to use our content, just send me an email and we will let you know the cost it will cost you to play our content. And that you could definitely send us email. But again, we will not allow anybody to use our content. We work very hard. And like I was saying earlier to a lot of people, I said, I can't use anybody else's content. I can't use Tasha or Lovely T or Armand or any of these other people because they will be like, okay, we want to file a complaint against you because you decided to use our content. That's what happened with Auntie Hammy, because Auntie Hammy decided to use someone's content, use Armand content, and he filed the correct paperwork, and the entire video was removed. So if you coming in this game and this is what you want to do, you got to play, by the rules. And that's what we have to say about that. You have to play by the rules. Now, the live that we did yesterday was really great. We had got a phone call for some people saying, "Oh my gosh, Wiley, this is the old Wiley. I love it. I think it was great. It was to the point. Very well produced. It was just an awesome live, and one of my best lives I've done this year. And if you missed that live, you're more than welcome to go out and check it out. It is definitely live on YouTube right now, where we talked about copyright infringement, where we talked about protecting your brand. We even had two special guests, Jess Zoe, which is a friend and supporter of Wendy Williams on the show. And I've been knowing Jess Zoe for years. Been knowing him for a long time. And he decided to come on our platform on that particular day. And that wasn't even planned. We were just live, and I dropped the link, and the brother came on the show, and he's going to be launching his show back in the summertime. So I thought it was an amazing conversation. I mean, one of my best shows. So I was like, oh my God, this is really great. We have Jesso, which been in the business for 15 plus years. Myself been in the business for a while. And then also we have, we had a situation. We had a show with Your Next X. Now, Your Next X, I was so amazed because not too many people defend me publicly. They don't. But Your Next X defended us, was so calm, cool, collected. And I became more of a fan of his. And then I asked Your Next X, because he is a man, what made you follow the Wiley Show? And of course, he told me, hey, because you were going back and forth with Millie and you were so funny. He decided to follow our show. Not only is he following our show, but he also is a member of our show. And that brother reached out to me in an email and also on stage here asking me about the town hall. Fast forward, I asked him, I said, what are you? How do you identify? I think he brought it up. He said he's bi, and that he have a 4-year-old son. So with that intel, I was like, oh my gosh, you would be great to join the town hall this week. And I was so amazed. And so we are doing a better job, responding to emails. Now, all our emails that we receive, we have responded back, because we got the Dallas meet and greet coming up. We got the town hall this Saturday. Really looking forward to it. And I'm telling y'all, I'm looking forward to it. So we got a lot of stuff planned in the live and stuff like that. And I do listen to your comments. If I see more than one comment, I was like, okay, it must be an issue, must be a problem. And so people were saying, oh, I don't like the preacher voice, too much for me, it's too loud for me. So the reason why we did the preacher's voice is because we were talking about the Larry Reid content. It made sense in that era. We wasn't going to continue to use the voice, the preacher persona, because we're moving on. We still talking about Levantre's story. We working with the police station as well. So I'm waiting on an update on that. I know Larry is trying to file a motion with the courts to get the full paperwork of the police report. I think he ain't going to do that at all. And I know a lot of people are saying, Wiley, you can go to jail, not go to jail. I can get sued for what you said about Larry Reid and his thing with Levantre and him being a type of person. You can definitely go to jail for talking about Larry Reid and for bringing the Larry Reid piece up. You can get sued. And I said, I'm not worried about a lawsuit. First and foremost, the reason why Larry Reid have changed directions and his team told him just to focus on his content is because he will lose a lawsuit. If you file a lawsuit today, you will have to file it in federal defamation court, or you have to file it in the state court. But it's also things that you will have to follow. A federal court, you have to prove that it was a $75,000 harm to you, which he have not have any that type of harm. And then when we in the courtroom, you open yourself up to questions to the court. I have not gotten a cease or desist letter. I have not received any court documents. Neither have Levantre. Now, mind you, Levantre was sued first. He was sued first, and Larry dropped the lawsuit. He was supposed to sue Tasha K. He said he's not going to sue Tasha K because he know he has skeletons in the closet. It is disgusting to me that people continue to support a predator, but I'm not shocked. People in the church community can pray all day long on young men, young boys like Larry Reed, and they use scripture, they use the Bible, they use being successful to deter people from criticizing him. And then I was talking to people, they were saying, well, Tasha K should have did it. I said, that brother was talking way before Tasha K, and his story never changed. And he had the same story. And my fear is that it's going to have to take yet another victim to come out and say that Larry did these disgusting things to me in order for people to believe Levante. That's what happened with the R. Kelly victims. You know, one of the R. Kelly victims came out, people attacked her, and she, you know, went away. Then another victim, they attacked that person, and then he had money to pay off the parents, to pay off his critics. And then one day his health started to decline. And then that another part, the whole Mute R. Kelly campaign started, and people just, you know, started talking. And then when they went to court, now the witnesses that typically wouldn't have testified because they were on R. Kelly's payroll, they were no longer on R. Kelly's payroll because R. Kelly money had dried up. And so what happened? They started to talk. They started to throw him under the bus. The reason why I'm so into this story with Levante, first and foremost, is that predators should not be able to continue to prey. One of the most disgusting things from Larry is that he will financially support people in their businesses and support them in their personal lives, and then he will snatch all of the money from them. And I feel like that is disgusting to do, to snatch all the money from them and take their money away when you know you're on their only livelihood. That is a part of control. That is a narcissist. When it comes to stuff, he surround himself with people, not his critics, but he surround himself with people when he don't to tell him when he's doing wrong. Okay, brother, you're doing right. And he have literally changed the scripture and changed the idea of the Bible. And he was saying one thing, that he's not a false prophet, that it's okay for you to have sex outside of marriage. It's okay for you to be LGBTQ. It's okay for women preachers to be a pastor. It's like, it's so much things that totally against God's word when he's saying that it's the right thing to do, and which is not. So when I was talking about Levante's story, I knew I was going to receive some pushback, particularly from Black women, because a lot of them are so desperate for a higher power. Instead of them reading the word for themselves, they go and they follow a false prophet, one of the devil's preachers, and that is Larry Reed. And I'm saying this from the heart because, you know, he hurt and almost destroyed Levante. And the one point about it, Levante's mother didn't really believe Levante because she wanted to decide to support Tasha K. I'm sorry, support Larry Reed. And then she had to finally realize that Larry Reed is a person that is a predator. And so when people were telling me in my email and they were texting me and they were saying, hey, you are going to get sued, you are going to get sued. And I'm like, well, this is already in the public domain about Larry Reed and about Levante and about Tasha and about the other YouTuber that he sued, Daryl Moore. These are public. So his lawsuit would have had merit if it was me saying these things and not Levante. If it was me saying these things and not Tasha K. If it was me saying these things and not Daryl Moore, then we could say, oh my gosh, he have a chance of getting a lawsuit. The reason why he don't have a chance of getting a lawsuit because I did not create these things outside of my neck. These things were created by the victim. I do believe the victim. I do believe Levante is a victim of Larry Reed. I do believe these things, and it just irks my spirit about that people are not believing him because he's a Black man. Typically, when you look at the statistics of sexual assault of Black men, okay, because people are just really just second, okay, and this is actually Predator on Prey. And give me a second here. Okay, that's that. I want to get the one with the statistics here because I think that is definitely a need. Okay, if you go back to this, let me go and let me screen share this so you all can see this. And someone wrote an article and it says sexual abuse of Black boys is a problem and we need to pay attention. We just come into terms with talking about sexual abuse at all, but our sons have been missing from the conversation and the outrage. Trigger warning, the story features accounts of child sexual abuse and the R word. When I asked my writers group for advice on how to research child sexual abuse in the Black community, I wasn't expecting personal anecdotes, yet that's what Ron gave us. He's been sexually assaulted at various points throughout his life. He said by a teacher, a aunt, even his own mother. In her 2004 book, No Secrets, No Lie, How Black Families Can Heal from Sexual Abuse, journalist and mental health counselor Robin D. Stone writes that 1 in every 6 men report has been having been sexually abused as children. That number becomes even more frightening when you consider the fact that sexual assault crimes are vastly underreported. So these are articles that's being written about the sexual assault when it comes to young Black boys. As a society, we still learning how to discuss any kind of sexual assault, and the conversation around sexual abuse of Black boys are far, far rarer. Yet these conversations need to happen, both for the survivors and for the men and women who live them. Ron abuse, he told us, starting when he was 8 years old. He got in trouble at middle school for kissing a girl behind the bleachers. When the school told his mother what he done, he assumed he was in some kind of punishment. Instead, he says, she started to touch me, at which point he trailed off and not wanting to relive the incident. Things would get worse when he told his history teacher what his mother have done to him, and the teacher also took advantage of him. This isn't uncommon. According to Stone's research, nearly 95% of all abuse cases, the offender is either a parental figure or someone who is a close acquaintance of the child. Despite Ron's personal experience, current data around the abuse of Black boys extremely hard to come by. At the time of Stone's book, 14% of all child sexual assault victims were male, 20% of abuse coming at the hands of women. There's a website dedicated to 1 in 6 statistic. However, the latest information listed is from the U.S. Center for Disease Control in 2005. In that study, the CDC claims 16% of males are sexually abused by the age of 18, but doesn't touch specifically on the experience of Black boys. The breadth of such data doesn't surprise Ron at all. Men don't report, he tells me. Even in surveys, we often lie. Unless specific questions are asked. Even more, those questions can be invasive, or simply unhelpful. What was your first sexual encounter like? Presumes the respondent have come to terms what an encounter enough to describe it. Have you ever had a sexual experience with an older woman? Doesn't necessarily uncover, of course, or abusive encounters. And so I'm reading this just to show people that it's have always been underreported. In this book called Stranded on Death Row, Danny Boy Stewart talk about his sexual experience when he was a teenager, when he was when he was underage, when he had sex with Mary J. Blige. And you clearly didn't even see no pushback from Mary J. Blige, because typically, historically, when a young boy or when a man talk about his experience when he was young, sleeping with a female, he get applauded like, oh my gosh, that's cool. You was able to pull a female. Oh, that's my dog. All those type of things. And this is clearly no outrage. If roles were reversed, if this was a underage woman and said, oh, she had a sexual encounter with R. Kelly, I believe the conversations would be different. This is clearly in the book, clearly talk about how he, sexually was involved with Mary J. Blige when she was on her menstrual cycle. It is written in the book, and I don't know why he put it in the book. Maybe he was just trying to tell a story. But when I look at it, I believe when Mary J. Blige do interviews, I believe those questions should be brought to her and say, did you do this to Danny Boy? Did you knowingly or unknowingly had sex with a teenage boy? And I believe those questions should be heard. Even if you did not know, it's still illegal because you cannot be dumb to the fact that you did not know. It is definitely in this book, and you can just definitely read it for yourself, because I read it for myself and I said it's clearly in the book. But let's continue to read this article that I was definitely doing my research on. The death of such data doesn't surprise Ron at all. Men don't report. So we read that. We read that paragraph. Now let's go to in 2011 Psychology Today article talking about sexual abuse, boys and men they become. Author and psychiatrist Richard B. Gardner. He also have his PhD. Lens on to Ron's assertion. Gardner cites masculine gender expectation that teach boys that they can't be victims as one of the main reasons that sexual assault of boys go unreported. Boys are supposed to be competitive, resilient, self-reliant, and independent, but certainly not emotionally needy. He writes, real men indicate sexual activity and want sex whenever it's offered, especially by women. For many men, these qualities define masculinity. Many of those patterns come to light in 2016 when the New York Daily News reported a multiple allegation of child sexual abuse by Africa, whatever the last name is, Bambaattaa. Ronald Savage, the first to accuse the hip hop legend of molesting him when Savage was a child, and said the embarrassment and shame kept him silent for years. In the same matter, abusers are often protected by a vow of silence from family and friends. And in fact, people are more apt to blame the abused child than they are to hold the adult accountable. This reminded me when I had a viewer on the show, she continued to blame Levantre. She said Levantre is guilty. Levantre is the person that did it to himself. Levantre wanted it. Levantre did it in his will and mind. And she was, even when I was saying, ma'am, to remind you, he was a teenager. And she kept saying it was Levantre's fault, kept blaming Levantre. I immediately cut ties with that person because you love to protect abusers. I cannot do a show with you because you like to protect abusers. So why would I continue to do an episode with you when you, in fact, are protecting an abuser? So I immediately cut ties with her because she definitely did not make any sense. Let me go to that. Ron's traumatic experience gave him a very weird view on sex and shattered his ability to create romantic partnerships and affected his view on his self-worth and self-value. It is not uncommon for abusers to be people who hold some level of importance to the child in the community at large, a clergy member at a local church, a breadwinner of the household, or a trusted close family member. But even when those people suspect shouldn't be around children, can slip through the cracks, never being held accountable. Ron said he's known about the abuse of another family members and knew that other people were aware of what happened to him. They just never did anything about it. Chris Rock captured the sentiment in his 1999 comedy special, Bigger and Blacker. In one joke, Rock discusses the benefit of having enough uncles to teach you everything you need to know about life. As he lamented about the stealing uncle and the alcoholic uncle, he discusses the molester uncle, Uncle Johnny. Rock started the bit with an imaginary mother opening, wondering where her childs are, only to freak out when she discovered they've been with Johnny. This is a quick ride special. Ultimately, the hypocritical mother blames the kid for what happened. That's what you get, she said, hanging around with effing Johnny. I told you about that ish. Now walk it off. It's worth wondering how many male victims of childhood sexual assault felt that they've been told to walk it off if they spoke up. For other Black boys, sexual encounters that happens with women or non-adults often laughed about or looked thought of as harmless. In 2009, the NPR show Tells Me More broadcast a segment prompted by Lil Wayne's anecdote of losing his virginity at the age of 11 to a 14-year-old girl, and admission that it affected him adversely later. In 2013, Chris Rock shared his story with Vibe about the time he lost his virginity at 8 to a girl of 15. It's different in the country, Brown said. Like girls, we weren't afraid to talk to them. I wasn't afraid. So at 8, being able to do it, it kind of preps you for a long run. So you could be a beast at it. Description fit the textbook definition of abuse, and yet to him, it was something he felt prepared him for sexual situations in the future. In other cases, sex with an older woman is seen as a point of pride. Earlier this year, rapper Lil Boosie promised his 14-year-old son oral sex from a bad B as his birthday presented. Fans defended the quote, saying it had something to do with his music. Boosie eventually said he was kidding, although it's difficult to know if that's just due to the backlash. He further explained on BT, and because his son was a teenager, if he wants to get some hair from a girl, I'm cool with it. Whether it was a joke or not, the potential damage inflicted on his son could have lasted well past adolescence. For Ron, his own abuse has affected him for decades. It ruined a lot of ish, he said. I can't tell you how many times I've looked at funny by women because I don't speak to my mom often or F with a lot of my family more than I have to. Ron's traumatic experiences gave him a very weird view on sex and shattered his ability to create romantic partnerships. It affected his self-worth, his self-value. It made him more sexually active and interested in kinks. As men, we often taught we aren't the prize in sexual interactions, even more so once you are abused, he said. So I kept looking for things that were sexually outside the norm. He knows the first step to healing is to talk about what happened. That's what Levante doing, talking about what's going on. You can't heal for what you don't reveal. I'm going to repeat that again. You can't heal what you don't reveal, he says. So it becomes a thing that F's with you and you don't know why. Talib Darrell, a sexual abuse survivor featured in the NPR segment, said revealing what happened to him was a huge step in his recovery. I found a new sense of power, freedom, and being able to talk about it, even sometimes down to the details, and to be able to go of that far, he said. It's very empowering and it will transform your life. And the healing that is strengthened in numbers. In 2008, Sylvia Coleman, an award-winning health journalist and advocate for sexual abuse survivors, launched the Black Survivors Network, a national hotline support system for African Americans. Coleman, who is also a survivor of child abuse, believes in the importance of attending therapy or finding a support group. She also believes we must teach our kids early about sexual assault abuse. Black men should be able to should be at the forefront of the conversation about child sexual abuse, pushing to make sure we support one another and get help if necessary. The longer we're silent on this issue, the more likely it will keep happening. And the longer the silence, the deadlier the results. And this is why we will continue to talk about Levante and continue to talk about Levante's story. And it's a lot of young men have been taken advantage at a young, early age. And because they're a boy, they get laughed at. Like, oh my gosh, you must enjoy it. Oh my gosh, be a man, man up. I can't even tell you how many people told me in my personal experience, oh man, that was good, just man up. And then I just talk about when I was abused as a child, because I was on a party line and this older guy did some things to me. And once I told him, before we start doing having these sexual acts, I told him, say, hey, I was, I'm in 8th grade, and we continue to do that I was a product of child sexual abuse. I didn't know that until I became in my 30s. And I've noticed when I told the story and someone inboxed me and said, oh my gosh, Wiley, you were a victim. And I never felt like a victim. I just told the story and I thought it was just natural for that. And then once I shared it on my channel, someone reached out to me and said, oh my gosh, you are a victim. And I'm not a victim, I'm a survivor of that. And so that's why I had to tell people now to watch for their children. Back then we didn't have social media and Twitter, Facebook, and all of that. It was a search thing called the Party Line. And I remember being on it and I was talking to a lot of men, and a couple of them came to, I was staying at the time at my grandmother's home. Most people in my family don't even know that happened to me. I shared it with you all first before I even shared it with my family. So I'm sharing these stories and sharing these experiences because it needs to be told, it needs to be expressed. And so Levante's story, because he had encounters with a man that was a trusted figure as quote unquote a pastor. And then when you look at Larry Reed traits, he brought in teenage boys in his home. He brought a lot of boys in his home. And some of the boys that he brought in his home actually abused. He abused them. We have one case where King Jive's godbrother was abused by Larry Reed. And King Jives, we recorded the conversation. And let me tell you why we recorded the conversation. The reason why we recorded the conversation is because I wanted the public to know that King Jives knew that Larry did these things. And he said, I believe it. But because I don't have a lot of money and I'm afraid of a lawsuit, I will keep quiet. And I want to say to my brother publicly, you are so involved with Bishop Whitehead and Bishop Whitehead being a fraud and Bishop Whitehead is this and that. And you're talking about Bishop Whitehead, but your own God brother were violated by Larry Reed, and you believe that Larry Reed did this, but you're going to keep quiet because you don't want to get sued by Larry, and you want to continue to continue to get the $500 super stickers or $500 cash app. And then he also said in that conversation, well, the $500, that was weird getting that $500 super sticker. But if it was so weird, why haven't you came out publicly to talk about it? He got really silenced, and then he started to attack me and started to post my personal 773 number to the world because of that type of thing. And he talked about how his god brother was underage and how he was violated by Larry Reed. And these are all the accounts of King Jives of what he shared to me privately. And of course, we record, the conversations of that situation. We also got some money in here. Your next ex said both of my best friends were touched by older women. One of them is affected so much that it manifested into him primarily dating bigger middle-aged women. He's so skinny they look like the number 10. And so these are the conversations that need to be had, and we must have these conversations with our boys and have these tough conversations. Already, women typically, some of them don't get believed, but it's underreported when it comes to boys. And so these are the conversations that we definitely have. I will also send, the article. If anybody want to read the article, I will drop it in the chat. Oh wow, okay, I gotta find it. Give me a second. I'll drop it in the chat, and then all it is. And I've also have to say these are all allegations. Larry have not been charged with a crime yet. He is under investigation by the North Carolina Police Department, and of course, the North Carolina Police Department have failed to do anything about it, and that's why we're keeping Levantre's story alive. All right, we're keeping his story alive. We will continue to keep his story alive because I think it's the appropriate thing to do. And when I look at Levantre, when I look at Larry Reed, I see a disgusting human being. I think that Larry is a very disgusting human being for using his power of authority in order to insert himself and violate a person, one of his parishioners, Levantre. And also, I also have to speak to Levantre's mother because a lot of things she did not protect her son. She had ambitions to become a pastor, to become over a church, that her herself did not protect her son. And once she was made aware of the allegations, she did not protect her son. It is just so disgusting. How many mothers out here that are so trusty with their sons that they allow their sons to go be with their pastor? You have to watch out for this. You have to pay attention to this because it's the wrong thing to do, to give all the trust to a man and don't have no protection for your sons. And that's why you have to watch these preachers. They are so want to be around your son. Take your son out to dinner. Take your son out of the country. You watch that. It's not saying that he's not saying all pastors are that way, but that's your a red flag should be developed and come up. And something as you as a protector, as a mama, should come up and say, hey, this is wrong. Like, why are you always going to be around my son? Like, what are y'all doing? And I just don't like it at all. And just doesn't make any sense. So when you have these conversations with your sons, make sure the line of communication is open. So if something were to happen, they will be able to let you know. And don't you be so caught up with, oh, this is my pastor, he would never do it. You must investigate as a mother. You must remove the child from the situation, and you must do an investigation. Even in CNA, that even if a case of abuse come up, they remove that worker from the schedule and remove them out of the building. And until a full investigation is thoroughly done, you cannot be around that resident. That is the appropriate thing to do. And then also they have to notify the state of a case of abuse. So these are the things that you as a worker in the healthcare field have to go through. It's something very important that you have to go through when you go through these situations. So when I look at this article, when I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to share this with my subscribers and let them hear this because this is something that needs to be heard. And I want to say thank you, everybody, for coming through the broadcast. We're going to get into these other topics. I just had to bring that up. Now, I had to bring that up. Little Nas X, he did a joke, and the joke was, "Oh, she looks so beautiful in her transition." Wait a minute, let me make sure I get it together because I had it on here. Was it this it? That's not it. That's not it. I want to make sure I bring it up. Give me a sec, because this was brought up in the. This kind of like went viral because he apologized to the trans community. Okay. All right. So they got it right here. Little Nas X apologized to the transgender community over a joke about transitioning. I handled that situation with anger. They said it right here. Little Nas X have always maintained a heavy presence on Twitter, but he recently met with backlash after joking that he had transitioned. The rapper tweeted a photo Tuesday of a woman who vaguely looked like him and captured the surgery was a success, which led to users complaining that it was insensitive and discriminatory, and he then deleted the tweet. Lil Nas X issued an apology about the situation, also acknowledging that he handled the situation poorly and shouldn't have responded with anger when people criticized his tweet. He tweeted, "Apologies to the trans community. I definitely handled that situation with anger instead of considering why it was not cool. Much love to you guys. Sorry." Okay. Before the apology, Little Nas has responded to a couple critical tweets with insults and sarcasm. He has since deleted his responses. When asked why he made the joke in the first place, Lil Nas X tweeted, "I'm literally just saying she looks like me. Y'all cannot be effing serious." When another fan asked him why he mentioned surgery, the singer replied, "Because she has titties. Are you dense?" Okay. Someone else said this. Once again, Lil Nas X responded with spite, and instead of engaging with this very valid criticism coming from an actual trans person, and it's cool when your fans rising and sending threats to a black trans woman who named the way your apology fell short. Okay. However, one fan said the apology didn't do enough to solve the problems, suggesting he should use his platform to help raise awareness on issues that affect the trans community. The person said, "You need to apologize to the trans community in material ways that includes money, sharing your platform to raise awareness, and keep it. This is fake as hell." The Old Town Road rapper quote tweeted in response and wrote, "Girl, eat my butt." Many other rappers' critics pointed out that his remarks come at a time when the ACLU estimated that there are 400 bills targeting the LGBTQ plus community, and particularly trans rights circulating in the US. So I was saying, I put in the title Lil Nas X canceled. And I want to say this because I felt like his comments were out of order. It wasn't right to say that and say that, okay, this is what we're going to do on with Lil Nas X saying that, oh, this woman look at me. I knew it was going to be some pushback because the trans community is a very sensitive community and they find every situation and they criticize. I mean, you can't even use cisgender women. I'm sorry, they started using cisgender women, and biological women said, "Hey, I don't like the term." Trans women say, "Oh, y'all don't like the term because y'all are transphobic." You have people that came out and said, "Well, trans women is replacing biological women, and biological women feel the type of way." Trans love that analogy, but if the roles were reversed, and then biological women said, "You cannot say that we are jealous of you when you had to go get surgery and had to get implants and have to go through all this stuff to become a biological woman," then that trans woman and their colleagues would say, "Well, you're transphobic." So a lot of people don't even address the trans community because A, they don't want to be labeled transphobic. B, they don't want to be harassed by the trans community. Even when Dave Chappelle does jokes about trans women, immediately trans women are coming together, are trying their best to get him shut down and to stop his deal with Netflix. Netflix, in return, have supported Dave Chappelle all the way to the point that they have not taken down his show, his comedy special. They haven't took that down. They haven't taken it down. So his comedy special is still up there. It is still up there. So with Lil Nas X, a lot of people, he's young, he tells jokes, he does this to be funny. And me personally, I understand the outrage, number one. But number two, it was just a joke. You know what I'm saying? He didn't say nothing derogatory. The trans person that he posted looked just like him. Only difference is the lady got on a wig and she got on boobs. I don't necessarily see a problem to be looking like a celebrity, but trans people see a problem. Again, I am a cisgender man, so I am a biological man. So my feelings is different in it because I'm not a trans man. I'm not a trans woman. I am a cisgender biological man. So me, I'm speaking from privilege. I'm speaking from a biological perspective, and I'm not speaking from a trans perspective. So when people say that you shouldn't be doing this, you're not trans, and all that, I understand the pushback because I'm not a trans. I am a biological man. So being a biological man, that's just how it goes about it. And I know a lot of people have something to say. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna drop the link because I see Jess Zoe in here. Jess Zoe, do you got a comment, bro? Jess Zoe said, child, the trans community is always crying about something. When people need to understand, you can't make someone like or agree what you like or agree with. So I dropped the link, and also I'm gonna bring the number on here because I don't know if anybody want to call in and give their thoughts because we got so many other topics to get into. But I'm gonna stick right here in this topic because I don't know if anybody want to call in. Give me a second. I'm gonna open up the phone lines if you want to call in and give your thoughts on it. Give me a second. Okay. There we go. All right, so we got that number in here. So if anybody want to call in, you're more than welcome to call in and give your thoughts. Just so the vibe, right? They said I'm not playing with those pronoun names. I'm a woman, biological. Okay, respect goes both ways. Thanks. And so a lot of people have something to say about it. Like a lot of people, as I said, I remember I had a special guest on our show, and she was a trans woman from representing Abouting Prosperity. She came from that organization. And when she came from an organization and she had a comment made about trans women, she's a trans woman and she kept saying cisgender women until after the show, even like during the broadcast, a lot of people was like, why she keep calling us cisgender? I'm a woman. Why do I have to put a pronoun or something in front of me being a woman? I'm a woman, period. So a lot of women were coming in my emails and they were DMing me and they were saying, why you keep saying this whole thing cisgender? I'm not, a cis. I am a woman. So I kind of stopped using the term. I understood the term was a scientific term that being describing biological women, but a lot of biological women don't like the term at all. So now I just say biological women so the pointer for people can understand what I'm talking about. So they was really upset about that. So that's how it goes. They said, someone said there's no one in lifetime will get the full acceptance, straight, gay, bisexual, or anything else is not going to happen. Someone said, honestly, I'm sitting here trying to figure out why exactly a trans person will be offended by this joke. And see, I don't know. They were very offended by it. Lil Nas X had to apologize. He even told somebody to eat his butt because one of the trans people said, why don't you use your platform? Use your platform, pay some money, go there to the trans people. That's what it happened, when it came to stuff like that. So that's how it goes. And so I have the number open up. So if anybody want to call in, you are more than welcome to call in. That number, let me type the number in the chat. Give me a second. 674 9462. And then we're gonna bring Jazzo on. Okay, I think there's some backstage. Let me make sure. Jazzo, that's you?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. All right. Give me a second here so we can bring you on the screen here. All right. How you doing, brother?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing good.
Good. So I want to talk about the topic at hand because I always have this conversation with people, and I think I'm one of the most gayest and liberal gayest gay person in the community, because I'm not with like the whole label stuff. You know what I mean? You are who you are, and I feel like you should lead with your personality versus lead with your sexuality. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like, number one, I feel like the trans community is always fussing and crying about something. I feel like, you have to walk on eggshells when it comes down to them, as well as the gay community. But I feel like the trans community fuss and cry about things more than the gay community. And you can't make somebody like what you like, or be into what you're into. If somebody doesn't like gays or like trans or like blacks or whatever, that's their prerogative. Everybody has a prerogative to like what they like and be into what they into. As long as they respect you, that should matter. That's all that matters. Nothing more, nothing less. So I don't understand why like our people in our community, and I'm using my quota fingers, our people in our community is always crying and whining about stuff when someone expresses a dislike for our community or someone in our community. Let them be. Let them live their life. Why walk around with anger towards somebody who doesn't like what you like? It is what it is.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you brought that point across. But my thing is this: people will argue to us because we're both men. We're not trans. Are you trans?
I am definitely not trans. Trust me.
And I've told trans women this before. I said the reason why the conversation is dominated with people that is not in the trans community is because a lot of the trans women are not on social media, having platforms where they have podcasts and shows. If they do have it, they're not enough. So what gets me with them is that when we talk about this issue, of course I have to talk about it because it come across our desk. You need to have a platform and that infrastructure so when these type of topics come up, you can be able to control the narrative. The reason why they're in a minority is because it's not enough of them on the platform having podcasts and shows to discuss these issues. One point with Lil Nas X, I get it. He made a joke. They got offended with the joke. It wasn't really a bad joke, in my humble opinion. I would have taken it as, this is a entertaining. It was lighthearted fun. I mean, it wasn't derogatory. He didn't tell his people to harm trans women at all. But immediately they had something to do. I remember it was another case. I don't know if you remember this, that they tried to remove the song "I'm a Natural Woman,"
yes,
Franklin song. Because I am a natural woman is offensive towards trans women. I don't know.
You're trying to change history.
Yes, and I'm like, I don't know if that was led by black trans or white trans, because sometimes the movement get this type of way because white trans people get offended,
right?
And they're under that umbrella, trans, and you think it's black folks doing that, but in reality, it's white people just doing it.
Right, exactly. You're right, 100%. First of all, what did Nas X say? I was moisturizing. I can't keep up with Nas X.
What? So
what are you saying?
Post a picture of a woman, a trans woman, and he said, "Oh my God, look, I look beautiful with my transition." Let me make sure I read it directly what he said because I just had it on here. Let me go back.
Okay.
Let me go back so I can quote him directly. Because I know he had deleted the tweet. So okay. Now, this is on the Lil Nas X apologized to the transgender community over a joke about transitioning. I handled the situation poorly because he put a tweet. Let me go down. Was he okay? He had put a tweet in about his I transitioned beautifully, and he posted a picture of a trans woman, and everybody and their mama in the trans community was in an uproar, and they was immediately saying his comments were wrong and hurtful. Then another trans person said that apology is not enough.
What?
How about you donate money
No.
Trans to a trans cause, and Little Nas X told that person to eat his butt. So,
Heck no. Listen, I was talking to somebody about this the other day on the phone. What I don't like about our community is that the moment somebody who comes out gay, comes out trans, the community wants to adopt them to be an ally. Like be this crusader to pump your fists for gay rights and trans rights and da da da. Not everybody is meant to be a ally. A crusader. You know what I mean? Like that's not our responsibility. If you choose that responsibility, then fine. But if you do not choose to have to maintain that responsibility or adopt that responsibility, then it's okay. Leave everybody alone. Let them live their life. Let them be who they choose to be and live their life according to how they choose to live their life. And that's the thing I don't like about this community. Like, just leave people alone. The man didn't say nothing wrong. It was a joke.
I think this society that we come so hard against people when it comes to things like this. When it comes to these subjects, I mean, the trans community immediately they take offense of it. Like I said, they do not. It's a sector of trans women. I believe it's a minority sector that want Dave Chappelle to cancel. Because if you remember, the protest only had a couple of folks out there.
Right.
Like a lot of people out there, and all of this. And of course, you get people that look for. I mean, one trans woman tweeted T.S. Madison, and they was coming at her, telling her to respond, I guess, to get Little Nas X together.
For what? Leave T.S. Madison alone. So T.S. Madison is living her best life. Leave that woman alone. I'm not to change the subject real quick, but I just heard that somebody was telling me that people was getting at T.S. Madison because she didn't show support for what's her name, Steph? Cookie.
Yeah.
Leave T.S. Madison alone. Let T.S. Madison live her life. That's the thing. Like, I think that we live in a society where everybody's just too sensitive now. Like comedians can't tell risky jokes. Celebs can't tell jokes or be risque as they used to be. We just live in a world where everybody is just so sensitive, and we got to come out of that.
Yeah, but I think the reason why people come at T.S. Madison the way that they do is because one day she wakes up and say, "Hey, I'm this activist," and so when you put that persona on that you are an activist, you are an active advocate community, then people are gonna go, "Oh, where's the so-called activist?"
Right.
Like,
where's the woke trend?
Yeah, because she puts this whole thing, I'm an activist, but she's very selective where she have her outrage on. Like,
right.
One day she's activist, but then in this particular case with Little Nas X, she had nothing to say because people would say, "Oh, you don't want to destroy your relationship with celebrities." So I understand why people come at Maddie the way they come at her.
Right.
One day she say, "I'm an activist." The next day she's not an activist, or the next day she's attacking biological women because they don't agree with, and we're going to talk more about that on the town hall with Zaya Wade transition. So I understand why people come at her inbox and say all of these things. I'm a critic of Maddie, and I have my reasons. And so we'll definitely dive into that Saturday in the town hall. But I understand why people come at her the way that they come at her, because she presents this idea that she is a activist. And in reality, when I talk to real activists, they said she ain't she ain't out on the streets, she ain't out here having petitions to donate. So I think that some people, let's be clear, and I think Maddie is one of them, I think that they put on this persona because it's politically correct and it's good for them to say, "Hey, I am an activist. This is what I do. This is what I'm an activist." Some people say that because it's one thing to say that you're an activist, but it's a whole other thing to put in the work.
When you're hitting the ground and you really doing the grassroots work as an activist, correct? You're right.
A lot of people just say it because it's always good, it's cute to say it. Because when trans women were losing their life, Maddie came out and said, "I'm quote unquote, I'm an activist." But then a couple of months after that, she made fun of a black woman in the restroom. She was having her menstrual cycle, and she made a joke, came outside and said this woman have this big old maxi pad, and she made a joke, and biological women came at Maddie's head about that. But and then you ain't hear nothing about her ever say anything about being an activist. And then of course she's right back being an activist because Zaya Wade have transitioned, and then Gabrielle Union offered her a role in one of her Netflix movies. So that's what understanding that they're saying that Maddie just do anything to make it in Hollywood. But of course, I was critical and I got blocked by Maddie.
Really?
I will repeat what I said, because did you see her movie Bros?
That movie is whack. You know what? I still have it on my continue to watch section on Peacock, because the movie is whack. Like, she pumped that movie like it was going to be this big old production. It was going to be so great, and that movie is whack. And you know what? Tonight I'm going to remove it from my continue to watch. I'm not watching that garbage.
So I said the same thing, that it was whack, because I actually went to the movies, right? Because it was out in the movies, right?
Where you pay for it?
I did. I paid for it. I went in there. It was nobody. I was the only person in the theater. And so Maddie didn't
Marquise, you need to write Maddie and ask her for a refund, because that movie was whack.
So I shared this on my show, and then soon as I got off the air, someone sent me some Maddie stuff, but I couldn't see it. And then I went on her page that I am blocked on her Twitter.
What?
I'm blocked on her Instagram. It's because only thing I said that the white people that was behind Bros use you as a black woman and also person as a prop to get us black gays to go to this movie. But in reality, the movie was in the premise of a white man perspective, a white perspective. I could not identify with it at all, because it was both are making money. They are thriving in their businesses. Most people that he's dealing with are thriving in his business. So I didn't see it. And then her acting in the movie was a couple of little lines where she set it up like she was such this grand,
right?
You know what I'm saying? And then another part about Maddie, when she got on Beyonce record, they did not allow her on the red carpet. They didn't even know who she was.
Shut the front door. Are you serious?
Yeah. So she went on there. She went on the red carpet. They got her off the red carpet because they didn't know who she was. She set it up like she was going to win this Grammy, that she's Grammy Award nominated, and she went on the red carpet and they booted her off the carpet because they didn't even know who she was.
What?
And so Maddie talked about it, but of course she deleted it from Michelle H. Elliott, brought it back up on her channel. Like, they booted her off the red carpet. They booted her off there. So, and so she talked about it on IG, and she deleted it, and I wouldn't have known nothing about it if it wasn't for Michelle H. Elliott grabbing it and talking about it on her channel. And I'm like, wow, because you didn't see no picture of her on the Grammys, and I understand why. And then she painted it, well, it was me on the last minute, blah blah blah. Like, no, it's plenty artists that do stuff the last minute and still get on the carpet. They know who
exactly.
So that I wouldn't understand it. And I guess she was she using her feelings about her being booted off the red carpet, that, she said something about it. But why didn't you call Beyonce? Are y'all supposed to be good Judies and everything like that? But she painted this picture that,
daggone well, she don't know no Beyonce that like that.
Right. I just think that one of Beyonce team members or Beyonce herself saw what Maddie said on her Instagram and used it got her permission. They cleared it and paid her for it.
Exactly.
Maddie tried to pump it up there like Beyonce her and Beyonce are just so cool. And they're like, no, that's not the case. Somebody on her team, Beyonce herself, saw what Maddie said. I was like, "Ooh, this would be good to add into the record," and they paid Maddie for it.
But you know what? People in our community are like that. Once they get a little extra shine or a little grease on them, they want to project themselves to be bigger than what they really are, and they have these close relationships with the celebs and whatnot, and it's a bunch of bull crap.
Right. And I see someone said in the comments here, and I want to pin that comment here. I want to you can see it as well. Someone said this quote: You joke on TS Master all the time, That's your right. It's also her right to block you. Why you get butt hurt when people block you like you don't talk ish about them? I'm not butt hurt about it. I think people get it confused.
You shocked?
Shocked. I'm
Yes.
not really shocked because I just give my opinion because again, I just think that this is my job. I'm a commentator.
Mm-hmm.
I deliver commentary. And it is a fact that the people that she don't have blocked, none of them went to go see the movie. And when I asked the question, hey, did you like it? I'm glad that Just Joe was honest enough to say, hey, the movie.
It was whack.
So that's what I would continue to do. And I would continue to say it more. But go ahead,
but hold on, stop. Pause. Because T.S. Madison should be the last person to be blocking people who for having an opinion or having jokes about her. Because let's be clear, she was doing the same thing that we was doing. That's how she got her come up. It's the exact same thing that we're doing. The way she was criticizing people and joking on people and even belittling some people, berating some people. You know what I'm saying? In Hollywood, she was doing the same thing. So now the shoe was on the other foot, and now you want to be in your feelings and block people. That's wrong. Don't forget where you come from.
I agree. Don't forget where you come from. I believe that as well. And you brought up a good point because she was very, talking about celebrities. I just think that she woke up, she wanted more for celebrities, and it kind of harmed her career because she was more popular, I believe, much of a household name when she was working with Kaya on the Queen's Court. I think that's, and she still leveraged that relationship.
Yes.
And every time when she come on people's show, The Breakfast Club, whoever show she come on, what is the main question they ask her about? Kaya.
Let's be clear. And I don't know I don't really know. Like, I don't know the behind the scenes issues between her and Kaya, but she got to give Kaya some props because Kaya put her on the map. When I see the map on a larger scale, you know what I'm saying? Like, she took her from that basement and brought her into Hollywood. Let's be real. So she gotta give Kaya a little credit, for putting her on a bigger stage than what she was on.
I agree, and that's when I look at this situation and I'm breaking this situation down with Kaya and T.S. Madison. I have to defend Kaya because they painted Kaya as to being a boogie woman.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go back to what Kaya said, she said, "If it ain't fixed, if it ain't broke, don't fix it." Right?
Right.
Keep that same in person on the iPad what they had, and T.S. Madison wanted to go so further so early in their career, and Kaya didn't want to do that. And still to this day, every time T.S. Madison had to stop doing the Queen's Court, the reason why she stopped it, the ratings dropped a lot. Like nobody was tuning in to the Queen's Court anymore because it wasn't that they were tuning in just for Maddie. They was mainly tuning in for Kaya reaction, for
right,
delivery, for Kaya dragging these celebrities. That was the reason why the show was such a success. So when Maddie tried to bring the show back and she tried to do it herself, it was dry as dry bones. Even when, and this is why I'm blocked by Maddie, because she also did a show on Fox Soul. Did you ever watch her show on Fox Soul?
That show was garbage. Garbage. And let me just say this. Whatever I say is my opinion and my opinion only. It has nothing to do with Wiley. Okay. Now Wiley chooses to agree, that's on Wiley. But whatever I say is my opinion and my opinion only. I'm not trying to stop his bag. But Fox Soul is whack. For anybody that think that they have a come up on Fox Soul is crazy.
The only reason why Fox Soul did that is to pander toward to take advantage of Black ownership. Black people, in order, when you start a new network like Fox Soul, you're not going to start with white creators because they're not the culture.
Right, exactly.
You're going to start it with Black people and you're going to call it Fox Soul, but it ain't even owned and operated by Black folks.
No, it's owned by Rupert Murdoch, but it's ran by a Black man.
It's ran by a Black man, right? And they do that to attract more creators and they for the community. But then I won't be shocked if you gradually see those Black shows that go away or Fox Soul go away and they sell it to somebody else and they make more white shows. You know what I'm saying? Because typically, let's look at the history of Fox. Fox got their start with Living Single with all these black shows.
Correct.
A new network. Then once Fox became profitable, what did they do? They dumped those black shows and they started developing white shows. Because everybody will tell you when you start a new network, what group that you cater towards? The black group, the black demographic, because black people are the most people that watch television. We are the demographic that watch television the most, that watch social media the most, Netflix the most. Why do you think Stars cater towards 50 Cent a lot? Because the lights on Stars. If they stop producing those black shows on Stars, Stars will be in big trouble because we keep the lights on over there.
Well, Stars and 50 have a love-hate relationship. So I could see 50 moving away from Stars and fully committing his time over at Disney and ABC. Because he has a multi-million-dollar deal with Disney and ABC. So I can see, and maybe that's why Stars is kind of acting funny with 50. But I can see 50 moving away from Stars and bringing his content over to Disney, ABC.
Yeah, or yes, I definitely see that, and that's why Stars they got P Valley now. They're got a black show they're gonna be developing, and I won't be shocked either he gonna do that deal, and I won't be shocked if he start his own streaming app.
Of course, yeah. G Unit streaming.
And put those shows on there, and that's gonna hurt Stars' bottom line. So that's why Stars was like, okay, we know we ain't gonna have 50 Cent forever, so let's develop some more black shows. That's why they got P Valley, and P Valley is really dope. Really good, great cast.
Right.
And we have been underserved for so long that when we get a shot, we hungry. We get the best writers, the best scripts, because we have not always been getting that shot. But when you watch a show like P Valley, they tackle on being on the DL, right?
Right.
And those type of storylines, the reason why it goes viral a lot is because you don't see much of that on the screen like that.
Right, because in Hollywood, they have one standard of a gay man, and which is feminine and flamboyant, and that's cute, that's fine, but we're all not like feminine and flamboyant like that. That's just not who we are.
You got regular doctors, you got lawyers, you got people that rap, that you know what I'm saying. So I was glad they had masculine, man. Of course they had, Uncle, what was his name? The character.
I forget his name. Chester Phillips. Somebody in the chat remind us.
Uncle Clifford. Uncle
Clifford. Yes, Uncle Clifford. There we go.
That flamboyant, but the guys that he's pulling is like masculine,
right?
Masculine man, and that's not so uncommon because a lot of masculine men love those flamboyant.
Because I pause them, y'all. Yes, I do.
So you see that, and so that's what, and them ratings are through the roof over there for P Valley. Like it's like literally through the roof. But thank you so very much. Now, we got Jussie here, and I'm gonna definitely, and let me see if I can bring this up really quickly. When it comes, because I want to get your thoughts on this before I get to my last topic here.
Okay.
Here we go. Jussie Smollet. I don't know if you saw the Jussie Smollett show on. They did a whole 4 or 5 part series about the hoax that he did. So I watched it on Fox Nation.
No, I didn't watch it. I don't subscribe to Fox Nation.
Right. So I subscribed to Fox Nation for the free trial just to see.
Can I hold your password?
Just to see Jussie Smollett, right?
Okay.
So they painted this for 5, did a 5-part series. They was painting this picture that Jussie lied. If you don't know the backstory, Jussie said when he was getting a Subway sandwich that 2 mega supporters beat him up and pour bleach on him and put a noose around his neck. The Chicago Police Department, they was putting all these man hours and trying to find out what's going on because the world was paying attention to this case because Jussie was attached to a very popular show back in the day called Empire. So everybody was investigating. What we learned from this investigation, Eddie Johnson, for the first time ever, did an interview about the investigation. So the detectives pieced together this, and what a lot of people failed to realize, Chicago media knew that it was a hoax.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them couldn't come out and say there was a hoax without any tangible evidence because many people would label them as being racist.
Mm-hmm.
They would just sit on the sidelines. So one reporter decided to quote the police department, and he was saying this is the first time ever that the police department is saying that we're skeptical about, we're investigating, but we're skeptical, meaning that we know there's some BS. So he's like, this was the first time ever that their public office was spilling tea like this. And so once that reporter, which was white, posted it on his Twitter, D-Ray, the activist, y'all know who D-Ray is, they started to drag the reporter, calling them racist and all these racist appetite. Then you have President Biden talking about it. Then you had Kamala Harris. So all these people is believing Jussie Smollet. Then once the police pieced together of these two men, and Eddie Johnson was like, listen, those are black guys. Because the way that they were walking, he said these are black guys.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, when the footage came out that the two black Nigerian brothers, they were in the store buying the bleach, buying the noose. Then they had all the information. So they have traveled to Nigeria because they wanted to audition for this Nigerian show that's very popular in Nigeria.
But they MAGA supporters. Okay, go ahead, go.
So they can't. So the police said we got to arrest these guys because they got to understand why did they do it. They know it's a hoax, but they still got to do their due diligence. All T's got to be crossed, I's got to be dotted because this is a celebrity. Okay, so the two Nigerian brothers come back to the airport in Chicago from Nigeria. They arrest him. They're in there. They arrest him. So the Nigerian brothers, their mother was an Uber driver. And so a lawyer gave her a card and she was dropping off at the courthouse maybe a year before this happened.
Mm-hmm.
So once they was arrested, that same mother called that lawyer and said, my sons are in trouble. They said they beat up a person that was in Empire. So, I'm sorry, not the mother. The family called her because the police was searching the brother's home, searching their house. And they was looking for bleach, they was looking for news, they was looking for things. So she got a copy of the search warrant. So that particular lawyer went to the brothers, went to the jailhouse, and she talked to the brothers, and they told her what happened. Then Jussie Smollet do an interview on ABC. What was her name? Robin Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he threw the brothers under the bus. Said I didn't do this. They did this. Blah blah blah. Pretty much said that he's quote unquote this victim, and that the two Nigerian brothers, they it's their fault. The lawyer showed the brothers that, and so the brothers started to say, you know what? I want to cooperate with the police. So they cooperated with the police about what really happened, getting the news and all that. They said originally it was supposed to be gasoline. The brothers painted the picture that Jussie called one of the brothers, could look good by the way, want the body and everything, and said, I need to talk to you about something. So he get in the car. Mind you, it's snowing outside. This is during the winter months. He said, I need you to, can I trust you? He said, yes, you can trust me. Well, I need you to beat me up, and I need you to put a noose around my neck. I need you to pull gasoline. And your brother can be a part of it. He said, yeah, I think, yeah, can you trust me? I said, yeah. So he bring his brother in the car and said, can you trust him? And they talked about it. So they drive to the location, and Jussie Smollet directed them on how to do this attack, how to beat him up, and all of that. And so the producer of this documentary asked him, why did y'all go over to bleach instead of gasoline? The brother said the reason why I went and got bleach instead of gasoline, I knew the gasoline would have been dangerous, you know what I'm saying? So we just went with the bleach.
Mm-hmm.
So and even on the block that it happened, you don't get all the details because the cameras, when it was only one particular camera. But the detectives was able to get the camera from the taxi. They took a taxi cab.
Oh, really?
Yes, they was able to get the camera footage from them in the store. So they painted a picture on this whole entire thing, and the brothers was worked with the police. So the police got all the evidence, arrest Jussie Smollet. They were charged with so many counts of lying to the police. Mind you, this is like a misdemeanor. It's not like a real. They didn't hurt nobody. So, but then on the day of the graduation, Eddie Johnson is the superintendent of the police. He get word from his staff that Kim Fox, the Cook County State's attorney, is going to drop the charges. Now, mind you, typically they was explaining in the documentary that anytime that the superintendent, anytime the state's attorney are dropping charges of this magnitude, they talk with the superintendent. The superintendent communicate with the mayor. In this particular case, it didn't happen. Kim Fox gave them a 5-minute warning before the public would get to know that they're dropping the charges. So Eddie Johnson told Rahm Emanuel, which was the mayor at the time, to drop the charges. And he started, what the F? He started cussing. He started being belligerent. He started going off because he didn't agree with Kim Fox dropping the charges. And then they started to, mind you, this is Fox, by the way. So anytime Fox do something, it is a narrative they're trying to push. So they talked about how Kim Fox is a progressive, how she don't get along with the police department, how she letting criminals out of jail, how she's doing this, she's not tough on crime, because this is under Fox. So Fox, what they did strategically, they produced a black show, a black man, but their narrative that they're painting is that Kim Fox need to get out of office. She's a progressive. She's weak on crime. So that's pretty much the big thing. And then they bring police officers to talk about how Kim Fox. And then they talked about, in which I agree with this, how Chicago is broken, how they blame the superintendent, blame the state's attorney, how the state's attorney blamed the judges. Everybody blaming each other. And that's why.
Right. Finger pointing.
Right. It's all right. So then they dive into all of that. They dive into Jussie Smollet talked about how, he did an interview and the charge was dropped. What messed Jussie Smollett up, he decided to gloat about it, that he is just a legal win, blah, blah, blah. And the lawyer told the brothers, okay, we got him. There was a retired judge that decided to file a motion to the courts. And a lot of people didn't take her serious, his old lady, but she was a retired judge, to get to open up the files, because when they dropped the charges on Jussie Smollett, they sealed the records. You couldn't even get the records. So the judge was like, we're going to unseal the records. And because it was unsealed, he decided, and then they put a motion in that Kim Fox do not have the authority to recuse herself by allowing her second in command to be over the case. So she, quote unquote, recused herself and allowed her second in command to be in charge.
Mm-hmm.
According to the judge, you can't do that. That is illegal. There is no precedent and right that you can recuse yourself and get somebody else. You need to get a special prosecutor. Because she didn't do that, the Cook County judge said, hey, we need a special prosecutor. Now, mind you, this ain't really happened like this. This is all coming to Chicago. So they get a special prosecutor. That gives that special prosecutor power to investigate Kim Fox, to investigate Jussie Smollett, to investigate all these people, and also the other prosecutor that was on the case. They found out that because of Kim Fox was talking to Michelle Obama's chief of staff.
You're right.
I got to recuse myself because of Jussie Smollett's sister know the Obamas. Okay.
Journey.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So they know. So she dropped all charges. And a lot of people didn't know that Kim Fox, she wanted to become a senator. So they come after Kim Fox hard. And the special prosecutor, he won the case. He was guilty on all 5, I think 5, and then 1 he wasn't guilty on. It surprised everybody that the judge gave Jussie Smollett time in jail, because this was a low offense, that it was not a violent offense. They gave him about 5 months in jail. And the only reason why Jussie Smollett got out of jail is because the lawyer said, we're going to be filing an appeal, and the appeal is going to take longer than 5 months, but my client going to already serve it, so he need to be out while a pending appeal. That's why they allowed him to come out of jail, because he got it's in an appellate court. They filing it for an appeal. So you see all this stuff. Did all of the Fox Nation? It was all on the Fox Nation. It was all on the news. Then they had Al Reynolds. You know who Al Reynolds is.
How you doing, Reynolds? Yes.
So Al Reynolds he started talking about Jussie Smollett. He said that Jussie Smollett was a celebrity, but Jussie Smollett more. He said it's like a drug. Being a celebrity is a drug.
Yeah, it sure is.
Always chasing it. You always want it.
Yeah.
And then they had the Fox person, executive of Fox. He was working on the show Empire. He said Empire ratings were dropping before this incident happened. The ratings was on a decline.
Yes,
So,
because at that time they were talking about ending the show.
yes. So the
Hmm.
person finally told us why the show was ending. He said we were having issues because a lot of viewers was writing us back saying it's too much of a gay show. One person from Oklahoma said, "Listen, I had to keep covering my son's eyes every time Jussie Smollett is kissing another man."
Mm.
And so they exactly was saying because they focused so much on Jesse's storyline of kissing and having sex with a man, that a lot of the ratings, a lot of the viewers started to dwindle away because people failed to realize that this was a national show. It may be good in
Right.
New York, may be good in Chicago, but when you go to Oklahoma, when you go to the Bible Belt, that's a totally different.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
America is big. So just because you're liberal in New York, go to Texas, go to Oklahoma, go to Alabama. Those ideas, even with
Louisiana. Yes.
they're considered more conservative. So the ratings start to drop. And I think that for Jesse, he wanted to be this whole activist. His mom worked with the Black Panthers. His
Hmm.
mom is friends with Angie with all of some of the Black Panthers, right? And that's how him and his dad. That's how his mom and his dad met. I think Jesse knew that the ratings was flopping, and he needed something a big boom to get people to watch the show. When this investigation happened, when the hoax happened, Jesse had a concert, and the tickets wasn't even selling that great. So
Yes.
as
I
this
remember that.
happened, everybody outside at this event. And this black man that worked with Fox, that worked with Jussie Smollett, said he never seen this before. And he said when Jesse started to talk that he was the gay Tupac, that this and this, he said, don't nobody
Hmm.
talk like that if you got robbed and beat up. He said
Right.
that man did not get robbed and beat up. Now, mind you, all of this is going on in the situation. All of this is going on. And so everybody kept saying this. Then it was an activist. I didn't catch her name, so if y'all know her name, posted in the chat. It was a black activist that Jesse posted on his page when they was doing this Laquan McDonald thing, 16 shots. So they reposted. So he reposted her on Instagram.
Hmm.
They brought her in a documentary because she talked about the history of Chicago, how racist is Chicago, how racist Chicago is, how you really can't trust Chicago. They got all these charges against them, all of this money they have to pay the people because they beat out a confession. So she said anything in Chicago. The black woman said if Eddie Johnson, the superintendent, said the sky is blue, I would have to go outside and make sure that it's blue. So this black woman had just met back. Jussie Smollett called that same activist, said, can you come to trial and stand beside me? Boom, she's there. Then his team asked her, can you go and say something to the media? They was talking about how this is all a setup, pretty much painted this picture that it was a conspiracy.
Right.
That forced Eddie Johnson to say in a documentary that I'm a black man. I will not knowingly have detectives to beat another black man for a confession. So you see all of this stuff in this situation with Jesse, and then you see the show declining. The executive said the reason why Empire ended the way it did and the storylines that make sense, none of them, Taraji B. Henson, all the cast did not want nothing to do with Jussie Smollett
Yep. Yep.
because they all was embarrassed. Fox News trashed Jussie, Trump trashed Jussie because this was all a lie. And a lot
Yep.
of people started to unfollow Jussie and block these people because they put their reputation on the line by supporting this. What I learned from all of this situation, when I learned from Jussie for lying and all of this, do I believe Jussie should go to jail? No. But do I believe he need to pay restitution to the city of Chicago? Yes. Do I believe he need to serve some community service? Yes. Do I believe he need to go to jail for 5 years, 2 years? No. Because nobody was hurt. He only thing he did is lie to the police. And the reason why this got blown out of proportion is because he was a celebrity. Now, one thing that Eddie Johnson said in his press conference, he was pissed. He said, I wish that victims of gun violence get the same amount of media coverage
Hmm.
giving this situation. Because if you remember, Chicago have a lot of crime. They
Right.
don't give the man hours to find a killer of a 6-year-old, that much man hours. They gave it helicopters, dogs, hours, and it took almost millions of dollars to pay all this overtime. And
Mm-hmm.
did it is because Chicago reputation is on the line, because previously they just got off the whole, they just got dragged for Laquan McDonald by covering that up. So, Chicago was receiving a lot of bad press, and also you can't
Right.
get Chicago either.
Didn't Chicago police sue Jussie Smollett to get their money back?
They did sue.
Yeah.
And the judge told him that he had to pay this money back to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And the reason, and they was okay. They was already pissed at Kemp, but the reason why he opened it up to this is because Jussie started to gloat. That's one thing you don't do. If you get away with a crime,
Mm-hmm.
celebrity, just take your win and go. He started to do a press conference to gloat around the fact that he was innocent, and that was all a lie. You wasn't innocent.
Black privilege.
Now, whatever happened to Kim Fox, what made her drop the charges, I don't know. I never talked to Kim about it. But I can think that Kim dropped it is because some very powerful people that was attached to the Smollett
Yeah.
her and pressured her to do it. And they promised her something like, hey, if you drop these charges, we will support you financially when your Senate run or your governor run, because every politician, they always want more. All right. Most politicians want more. If you're a mayor, you want to be a governor. If you're a governor, you want to be president. So, you always have ambitions to have more.
More, right. Exactly.
Right. So that's what really happened to that. And of course, that's why Kim Fox was challenged. And then it turned into, let's destroy this black woman because she's weak on crime. And one thing I kind of disagree with the documentary, I heard that one part of it is they don't have a strong enough economic message. Everybody keeps saying you live in New York. New York, in the NYPD get billions of dollars in a budget.
Yes.
Police department get billions of dollars. In order to stop crime, you must invest in those neighborhoods, invest in jobs, invest in all of that. Then you will see crime go down. The reason why you continue to see crime, because these are in poor areas. These are not in rich, fluent areas. All of this gun violence. Most of that gun violence is in rundown, drug-infested, gang-invested areas.
Well, in New York, as of recently, it's all over. Like people don't even
all over, because why it's spilling all over, because these people are getting smarter. They're going on where the people got the money. So Chicago is dealing with right now. In Chicago, you got Paul Vallis, you got Brandon Johnson. Paul Vallis is being supported by the Republican Party, by the conservatives. You know why they're trying to change? They unseated a black woman. Is because these white folks, not only we have crime, but now y'all in our neighborhoods. They robbed a white lady in this neighborhood, robbed her, took her vehicle, took a gun to the dog face.
What?
And I knew then, I said, oh my gosh, white people ain't gonna like this. So if when Lori Lightfoot, all these white candidates was running to unseat Rahm Emanuel. That was a bad mistake, because when you have 6 white people, you split the vote 6 ways.
Right.
So what white people did, they had a meeting, they sat down and said, when the next time we run for mayor, let's support one candidate. Black people didn't have that meeting. What black people decided to do, Willie Wilson, Jamal Green, Brandon Johnson, another woman, Lori Lightfoot, all of these candidates were running for mayor. If 6 candidates run for mayor and you're black, you're splitting the black vote 6 ways. So I was at Jamal Green's event, his election party, right?
Yeah, I seen you there. He was cute too. He is cute.
I was there, and I saw. Shout out to the woman that I was sitting next to. That was a white woman in Columbia. She's a journalist student. She was there representing the website that she writes for, and I saw the percentages calling coming in. If you calculated all of the black vote, all the candidates combined, they would have gotten over the 50%, 51% threshold, because Chicago got a rule that if you do not get over 51%, it automatically goes into a runoff. That is racist within themselves, because they always put that in because they never wanted a black person to ever become mayor. So ever since Washington became the first black mayor in the city of Chicago, they changed the rules, so they never wanted black power. So that's to dilute black power to become a mayor.
Right. But I'm sorry. I'm not in Chicago, but I follow every city's news and stuff like that. And I'm sorry, but Lightfoot, she messed it up for y'all. She did. Yeah. She messed it up for y'all.
Not only did Lightfoot mess it up, black people decide it was too many of them running. If it was just one strong candidate,
Yes.
if it was just Brandon Johnson, because he won most of the vote, and Brandon Johnson would have been the new mayor.
Right.
The problem with black candidates, when you run in office, because black people vote for black candidates typically, if it's any of us that hurt us politically. Because I saw the statistics. I saw when the numbers started rolling in. Willie Wilson got 10%. Jamal Green got 2%. I think Brandon got, I think 14, 15. If you add up all the percentage of all them black candidates, he would have been the next mayor of the city of Chicago.
Right.
The reason why I think that Brandon is going to lose on April 4th is because white people are going to vote their numbers.
Yeah.
They want a white candidate. Their mind is, listen, under a black woman, crime not only was bad, it got worse, and we start getting affected. And then also it affects Chicago's bottom line financially because those businesses starting to leave Chicago. When you go downtown, a lot of businesses are gone. And good business that have been there for years.
Really?
One, people stealing from them, the crime and the property taxes, the taxes up. Then they leave. So anybody know about economics, if the businesses leave, they can't pay taxes.
They can't pay, yeah.
They're going to go after the property owners that own houses. So now they're being slapped with 200% more in their property taxes, and they're being frozen out. Not because they can't pay their mortgage, it's because they can't afford to pay the taxes. So these hard-earning middle-class people that part of the American dream to own a house, they're getting frozen out, and they have to leave because they can't afford the high property taxes. So Chicago itself is going through a mess because every day, every time, more police. That strategy don't work. It needs to be more investments, more economic investments, really helping those underserved, more than abandoned buildings, bringing more investment to those underserved communities. Because when you look at good affluent areas, they got a thriving school, they got a hospital, they got all these property owners. So in return, they're able to afford a lot of things. So the crime is not. Don't say that crime don't exist because crime is everywhere.
It sure does.
Not as bad like it is on the south side or the west side of these cities.
But Wiley, let me ask you this: if you was the chief of police in Chicago, how would you combat crime? You being from Chicago, you born, raised, bred in Chicago, you know Chicago, you are Chicago. If you were the chief of police, how would you combat crime?
I would immediately have to work with the mayor. I would have to work. The mayor and I in the city hall will have to get an economic message. Because if I bring more police up, or I could be just tough on crime, lock them all up. You know what I'm saying? You know, really be hard. And then the jail's going to be overrun, right? But I still think it will be some pushback with that because then your office is going to get burned out. Now, do I believe some of these people need to be in jail? Do I believe some of them are falling through the cracks? Yes. But I also believe that these same neighborhoods have been starving for investment since I was in Chicago. Those same abandoned houses and buildings are still yet there when I was a teenager. I'm 32 years there.
Really?
And yeah, so they always been talking more police, more police. If you give $1 billion to mental health service, a lot of these people getting in and out of jail, mental issues, they need to be in a mental hospital. Now Chicago dealing with the homeless issue that a lot of these homeless people, guess where they sleeping at the airport. Now you know the airport, that's the first look that a person have of your city is their airport. Now these people coming in the airport, they're seeing all these stinking, smelling bad homeless people. Because the reason why they're there is not there because they got to be there, is because the shelters it's not as many shelters to keep up with the demand of homeless people. So it needs to be a strong economic message because you're dealing with redlining, you're dealing with people back in the day. If you read the book of the 1619 Project, it discussed how the suburbs started to be developed and how the government made rules that black people can't get loans in these areas. And it was, you know what I'm saying? So you're dealing with all of that. You're dealing with segregation. You're dealing with Jim Crow. You're dealing with all of that. You're dealing with the end result of that. You're dealing with the end result of integration because the message was civil rights leaders at the time, integrate. But in reality, they should have had an integration with an economic message. So you're dealing with all of that. And then you're dealing with The schools are failing, bad schooling, bad
Yep.
curriculums, all of that, and it's affecting our black and brown sisters and brothers. But yes,
Right.
in order for it to be a successful mayor, that mayor must make some serious changes in
Mm-hmm.
pulpit, him or her pulpit, to invest in those underserved communities. Because if you don't, you're going to continue to get people to carjack. Now, I do believe the laws need to change for carjacking. If you carjack, you need to be serving 30 to 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's eventually going to happen because the more they carjack, they're going to pressure these white folks with it.
Yep.
Actually go to city hall meetings and they actually go to the
Yep.
Capitol meetings. They're going to change the laws, and these black folks that's been getting away with a slap on the wrist of carjacking, they're going to be serving tough crime. They did the same thing with the drug crisis, with the drug wars. It was
Right.
forget that people talk about the 1994 crime bill, but they forget it was a lot of black people that wanted that crime bill, and they started locking them black people up. But in my opinion, that you need a strong economic message. You need it. You cannot have crime down if those people are broke and poor because they're going to continue to do crime. And then you need drug treatment programs. You need mental health programs because you see a lot of people that commit crime, they're not in their right mind.
Right.
This country, if you look at the budget, the national budget or the budget in the city or whatever, they get the least amount of money. But other things, they get so much. When you talk about war, when you talk about the military, their budget is through the roof. You know what I'm saying? Even let's go back to when we was talking about, I know a lot of people were talking about Silicon Valley, that bank that failed, and it was a tweet. They said, "Oh, you get a bailout approved. This person bailout approved."
Mm-hmm.
You talk about student loan forgiveness. Oh, we broke. When you talk about investing in mental health, oh, we broke. If you talk about investing in 24, investing in weekends for young kids can have somewhere to go, or up into 8 or 9 o'clock. Oh, we broke. We can't do that. But you want to bail out all these other entities. So that's an issue. So if I were the chief of police, I would have to decline that being the chief of police. I would more so want to be like a governor and be a mayor, mainly a governor, because the governor get a lot of resources from the federal government,
right,
to them to disperse it. And I feel like we have always been getting a small end of the stick, always, And I would have to encourage my black brothers and sisters to get into home ownership, because if more of our black brothers and sisters own property, they ain't gonna be out here committing all that crime. If you got a good job, you own property, you ain't gonna want to have to join no gang. You make it, you know what I'm saying? You making good money, and just should change. But they don't want to do that because they love it when it's just us committing crime. The reason why it's such an outrage now is because it's spilling out to white people, and then white people, they die pills, ODing, and quote unquote a health crisis. But when people was on coke and crack, it was lock them up. But now it's Sally and Susie, Bob and Henry.
Of course, it's always
so now it's a health crisis.
Yeah, it's always like that when it hits their home, when it hits their backyard, that's when they want to wake up and they want to start doing stuff. So it's always like that.
Absolutely.
But I think this is what I think. If I was the commissioner or the mayor in New York City, which I can't stand our mayor in New York City, Mayor Adams, so can't stand him at all. Mayor Kojak. What I think that they need to focus on, one of the things that they need to focus on is adult education. This is the reason why a lot of our black and brown men and women are resorting to crime, because if you have a lot of our black and brown women that don't know how to read and write, that don't know how to fill out a job application, that don't know how to go to the welfare center and fill out an application to get welfare, or go to the Social Security office and fill out an application to get a Social Security card, how you expect for them to understand the directions that they have to follow at a job? They don't know how to read and write. So the easiest thing for them to do is just go to the streets and do street stuff. Rob, steal, beat, whatever. That's easier for them than to focus on getting a job. They don't know how to read and write. So I think that one of the things that they need to do is start putting money into adult education. We have a lot of high school dropouts. We have a lot of junior high school dropouts. We have a lot of about grandparents and even parents who dropped out of school. You know what I'm saying? So I think that they need to focus on that, and that will help with the crime. I think that they need to focus on mental health. build more mental health facilities. In New York City, we don't really have mental health facilities. We have one jail that was like a mental health facility, and they shut that down. But I think that bail reform needs to be changed. I think that the DOC needs to be reformed because you can now. Let me just say this real quick. I used to work in a men's shelter. I would say 80% of the clients in that men's shelter are men who came home from prison and they didn't have nowhere else to go but to the shelter. If you have a man who was in prison for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, right? And this man, all he knows is the streets. He doesn't know how to get from point A to point B on his own. He doesn't know how to fill out an application or whatever. What do you think he's going to do?
True.
If he don't know how to cook for his own and do the basic things that us people know how to do, what do you think he's going to do? So I feel like they need to restructure the Department of Corrections, where they have programs where these men and women get training on how to just do the basic things like travel. Do you know how many? There's so many men and women out there that don't know how to travel throughout their own city.
Wow.
So like they need to restructure that and have the type of programs, have stipulations where if you we'll get you out of jail, you'll come out of jail, but you have to maintain a job, you have to maintain an apartment, you have to go to therapy, because that jail life is crazy. And people who are locked up in jail, they see all kinds of things that goes on in jail. So for them to come back out in society, they're gonna develop PSTD, or PSD, whatever that is. They're going to develop all of that. You know what I'm saying? So I think that they need some mental health services to help them, get acclimated into living in the real world, living in normal society, and transition from jail life. I think that will also help too.
I agree. And when we brought that point up, education does matter. You know what I'm saying? You don't see too many people with PhD robbing folks, or people or registered nurses that are making almost $30, $40 an hour robbing people. So I think that needs to be into place. And like the mayor, I don't really see him talking about an economic message. The hood is probably still a hood in New York.
Oh yeah, it is.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't necessarily see it. And it take a bold mayor to say, hey, let's get some investments. The mayor back in the day in Atlanta back in the 70s, the first black mayor, when they decided they was going to expand the Atlanta airport, he wanted more black people, black firms to get a piece of that pie. And he realized that a lot of those black firms couldn't compete for those city contracts because they didn't have the capital. And so he went to the banks, and the banks said, we can't find it. And so he instructed his treasurer to say, okay, let's take all our money, all of our city money out of these white banks. Let's put it in a black-owned bank. What did they do the next day? Oh, yes, sir, we can find them. Okay, we will finance these firms. That's why in Atlanta, you have so many black billionaires and millionaires.
Mm-hmm.
The mayor decided to make those bold steps to make sure we invest in those businesses.
Right.
And so a lot of the mayors like Eric Adams, Lori Lightfoot, they black, but they ain't doing a damn thing for
They ain't for our people. Trust me, they ain't for our people. I call him Mayor Eazy-E. Mayor Eazy-E, a.k.a. Mayor Adams. I feel that, number one, he's for the Jewish community. He's for the Jewish community. He's for everybody else. He's not for our own community. I feel like that he's not doing enough for our community. And when he does do anything, it's for a photo op. It's for the public eye. That's it. He doesn't, I don't feel like he don't do enough for our own people. I feel like that he, because he's from our community, I feel like he should have an idea or know he was a former cop. So he policed in our own community. So the fact that he's from our community, he policed in our own community, he should know what we need. And he's not giving us what we need. He's doing everything else for everybody else, but his own people. And
that's why I had to tell people, and I get involved too. I was just watching Jaden, the first black mayor of the Tennessee. He is in a small town, and they was having a city hall meeting, and it wasn't enough people in there. So in order for change for us, we have to show up to those meetings. We have to apply pressure. And the reason why where Eric Adams catered to these communities is because they hold him to the fire.
Yeah, they hold him accountable. Yeah. But not only that, but it's education. Education.
Yeah, that's why we as a people, more of these groups need to be, and we need to fund these groups to knock on doors, visit the Bronx, visit Brooklyn, visit these areas.
Yeah.
Say, we need to start participating in these meetings, or we need to start participating and talking to our city council people as well, because they get a lot of money to help the community, but they're not putting it toward the community because half of the community don't even know it exists.
They exist. Exactly. Yes.
You got to know that these stuff exists and educate our people. And this is why on my show, I make sure I bring those ideas up. I remember we right now fighting for parents to get relief on childcare. So one of my subscribers, they were talking about how they paying so much in childcare. So I can't even tell you how many phone calls I made, and they're shocked that I'm on the phone with these people. No, and they're shocked that with the follow up, like, oh, okay, I received the email. They act like they ain't never seen the email.
Right.
A lot of our black brothers and sisters, they're working, but they're getting bowed down. Not only black, white people is included. I didn't even know some of them paying $1,300, $1,400 a month for child.
Yes.
And so a lot of them, they have to work 2 jobs, or some of them have to force letting their kids stay at home because they can't afford childcare. I had a barber come and cut my hair, and he had to bring his son with him because he said, I can't afford childcare.
Wait, your barber comes to your house?
Yeah, sometimes I let him come every once in a while.
Ooh, Wiley, you luxury. All right.
That's only an emergency.
Wait a minute, Wiley, luxury.
No, yeah, only for emergency because he charged like $100 for that. So that was only for emergency.
Right.
Chicago. But he had to bring his son, and he was shocked that I was bringing it up. I said yes. And I said the reason why I'm bringing these things up, so if I decide to run for office, the community people, that's how you build an email list, and you know what I'm saying, they will see that this guy was actually doing the work before he became an elected official.
Right.
The problem with these politicians is that they should have never been elected, because if you would have looked at their work before they said I want to run for mayor or Congress or president, they ain't been doing a damn thing. So we as people must not only we need to research them. We get blinded with, oh my gosh, he's black, I'm just gonna vote for him because he's black. We need to get out of that mindset.
Yes.
Because you might have a white person that was more active in the community doing so much.
That's right.
Versus that black brother with the afro.
Go ahead, preach, Marquise. Go ahead.
So so I think that we must do a better job in that, because I think the Democratic Party, they have a whole system of put a black face to the black community, but no, what have that black face been doing when he's been talking to those white faces?
Yes.
Or her been advocating for our issues? And that's the point that we need to put it. Just because you say you are progressive, who are you progressive for? For white people or for black people or for all people? So that's what the point that I want people to understand. What are you really doing to help the black and brown community?
Yeah.
And the pushback on there, when I was talking to people to support Jamal Green, the messages I was getting, Wiley, they say that all the time, but they don't do it. And what Jamal Green failed to show people is, let me show you my accomplishments helping black people become homeowners. That's an accomplishment. So you put videos out, having them being your surrogate, because having this black woman from the hood with credit score was 400 and you helped her get a credit score to become a homeowner, she need to be the one in your commercials. She need to be the one traveling the city with you to let you know that you have helped me become homeowners. And that's something that I didn't really see Jamal do enough of. When wins. Because if you don't broadcast and promote your win in the community, they're gonna say, oh, you ain't doing nothing. Everything they complain about, you are actually fighting for that. That's why when you fight for these things, you must have a media person to help you. With Dr. King, the only reason why we know about the successes of Dr. King is because they did things to force the New York Times to talk about it.
Yeah.
Force all these news people to talk about it. That's why Dr. King was so effective, is because he understood, let's get beat up by the cops because we get more media attention. And then we get more sympathy. And so those strategies still work today. It's even greater because you got social media.
Yep.
You got Fox, you got all this, and then you have to be on the press. So every time the president open up his newspaper, or every time he go into the news, he see us advocating for our issues. Then you see the advocates boots on the ground. So it's multiple ways to win this battle. That's why you have grassroots people on the battlefield. That's why you got to have corporate people in the corporate house on the battlefield. That's why you got to have people that's in the political field. And that's how we win. And that's how these white people have traditionally been getting involved with that, because they got the power of the media. They got people around. They got people in corporate America. We must learn from what white people do, take a page out of their playbook and a page out of the civil rights playbook, and utilize that in a 21st century way. And that's how we get to dominate society. We must take advantage of those playbooks. Because, I mean, let's not act like the playbook is out there. We just got to be willing to read it and take notice of it and say, okay, let me do this to cater towards the people. So when I talk about, the child care calls, that's why I record myself doing it on my radio show that we air. And I also do a follow-up on it as well, because I think that Black people need to see this, because it's not only affecting Black people, it's affecting all
people. Yes.
Even talk about high rent. That ain't only affecting us, but if white people got a cold, Black people, we got the flu.
Yeah.
So if they're suffering, shaking up, what the hell do you think Black people, Shaquita and them, dealing with in the projects?
Yep. Yep, it's true.
So that's why I had to look at that. And then, because the homeless problem is not only people bombs that broke, it's homeless people that's working full-time jobs.
I was about to say that it's working. I was one. I was working a homeless person. I was working in a shelter and was homeless.
See,
riding the train up and down 8th Avenue at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I would go into work like it was nothing, and take a shower. Thank God I worked at a shelter where they had showers. And I would go into the shower and take showers and then put my uniform on. And you would never thought that I was homeless. But yeah, there's a lot of working homeless people out there.
So, and should that be, if you're working 40 hours, a taxpayer and homeless? No, that is sad, but it's much of, they're not talking about it enough, because CNN, they have their narrative. They don't want to talk about that. That's why the Wiley shows and these shows that's on YouTube use that platform to not only talk about celebrity gossip, but real issues. So I just caught myself just researching. I saw a case of a father that worked for the city out in Florida. He had to live in a motel that trying to transition to a low income. And people said, sir, why are you working like? He said, I can't afford. I'm taking care of 2 kids, their care costs, rent costs, and utility costs, and healthcare costs. Now you're in the same boat as a person that is broke, and you're making good money, but the cost of rent is so high, and it's affecting people with PhDs, with master's degrees. Get everything right. You went to school, you got your degree, and they sold this false promise that if you get it, you make good money. But that's not the case in every situation. Because if you're making $60,000-$70,000, you got 3 kids in daycare, and then you got a mortgage. That's not a lot of money once you deduct those expenses.
Yeah.
You're going to, what do you think Shaquita and Pookie and them dealing with making a minimum wage at Burger King?
Yeah.
With 3 kids. So, we must have to talk about these.
And inflation.
Them inflation is definitely high. And Black folks been dealing with that before the inflation. So
exactly.
If you know people that were suffering before the inflation, what the hell you think they suffering now with inflation? So it's a lot of that is suffering. I think like people need to get off their high horse, and they really need to investigate and really look at it. And it's out here. Like if you really Google or just watch YouTube clips and they talk about the high rent costs, you will be surprised that you will see. And then you see how they got this Section 8 program, and how every time the listing come out, guess what? It only got 100 spots, but you got 15, 20,000 applicants that are applying for those 100 spots.
in New York, the Section 8. So in New York, we have different Section 8s. I don't know about in other cities, but we have different Section 8 vouchers. And the most popular one is called the Section 8 Choice Voucher, which, where you can move around anywhere within the U.S. And that voucher is like on a limited basis. So like in New York, they'll put it out for 24 hours and then it's gone within the next day. That's how limited it is. And then they have the NYCHA voucher, which is like basically it's like Section 8, but you're paying like this. It's like Section 8, but the program is more like the project, like you living in the project, but you're not living in a project building. You know what I mean? Like you're living in like a regular building, that's contracted through NYCHA, and you're paying like low income rent, but you're stable in that particular apartment. Like you can't take that voucher anywhere else. It has to be for that apartment only.
Oh, wow. So yeah. I'm just really, really glad that you brought it up, that you said, hey, I was homeless and I was working. And so those type of conversations need to be brought up. And that's why I've always talked to my senator, my Congress people, and I get on the phone with them. None of them want to come on my show, because when you give them the agenda of what you want to discuss, check what the senator or the congressperson wrote publicly. And then when you check what they wrote publicly, ain't a damn thing. And then I go right back to them and say, when can you come on? Oh, Mr. Wiley, in 6 months. And then 6 months come, they booked again. And I call them on it. And I always tell people, when you call these offices and you want to speak to Julie, always say, hey, can I speak to Miss Julie, the coordinator of this such and such organization? You know what I'm saying? Always name names, because when you come in there naming names, you know what you're talking about. You know who you're talking about, and you ain't coming there just being dumb. And never get out of your body talking to these people. Always be very professional and keep that same script and keep doing it. And they're going to discourage you, because they always, let's play the long game. Let's not know, and then he gonna get turned away. Always keep doing it and be effective. And then what makes it more effective for me now is that I come back to my show and I tell my show, this is the person I talk to. This is the number you need to talk to, because I get emails of my subscribers from viewers that talk about how much money they're paying in high childcare costs and how it's affecting them financially, because you have to pay for it. Like you almost paying a rent payment for childcare costs.
Right. But they don't come on your show because they know that you're going to ask the real questions. They know that you're going to ask the tough hitting questions that mainstream media is not going to ask. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Mainstream media is going to fluff their questions. Wiley is going to ask them questions that's going to, make them really think hard and come up with a serious answer, because Wiley is of the people. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you're right. And that's why they'll never want to come on. They always make these excuses. Oh, he or she is busy. And I always go back. And I like doing this because I understand that there's so many people don't know the power of their congressperson. The Congress, yes. They don't know them, the girls that got the purse. They decide the budgets. They don't know that the governor get money from the state to disperse it to the people. It's more so like the CEO of this state. So they get a lot of money, and the money is coming in, but it's not coming to the right people because they give it to other corporations to find a packet. And that's why you have to follow the money, and to hold these people accountable and really stay on them, and then bring other people. So that's why I use the show. And I tell people, this particular show, we're going to be different. We ain't just going to talk about Cardi B and Nicki Minaj, because talking about them can't change you paying all that high cost in rent and high cost in childcare. And you make sure you do it. So that's why we ask for money to travel this country to interview these people. And so when the election happened, we can present a question to President Biden, to his team, and you see it live streaming to see their response on it. And you call the White House. A lot of people don't know you can write the White House, you can write the Congress people. Sure can.
You can talk to people. It's an office that you can visit. You know what I'm saying? Let it be known. So when they see you coming in with your homegirls, they know they're into some trouble.
Yeah. I also suggest that people go to their board meetings, their district meetings and board meetings. Go there, because that's how because I go all the time. That's how you will find out what's going on in your community, what new buildings is coming up, what proposals are going to be presented for your community. How is crime? You know what I mean? Like, go to your board meetings and district meetings, because it starts from there and then it goes up to our state people and whatnot. And you'll find out what's going on in your community, and you could help your community by going to these meetings, and go on your own. Stop listening to your cousins and your neighbors and all these other people who's giving you false information. Get up on your own and do your own research. As Wiley said before, do your own research. You know what I mean? Open up a book, open up the newspaper. You know what I mean? Go online and Google yourself. Call your district person, your state legislator. Call them, find out what's going on, so that way you can get the information directly yourself from the horse's mouth on what's going on in your community.
And that's why when I did that, I was able to talk to my barber.
Mm-hmm.
And I a case study, and he said something. He said he was cutting my hair. He said, "Man, I never thought about politics like that." I said, "Yeah," and I said the reason why people like yourself, you don't see any tangible results, but if I guarantee you, if you find out that you paying less child care, and I was advocating for that, you'll be more quick to give me your vote than not, because you saw that something in my personal life have changed due to the hard work of myself and others. And that's why you have to do it. And that's why I said, hey, it needs to be done. Like when I was looking at with the banking crisis, someone said something in the chat, just like the banking crisis. Most of my friends didn't know it was a crisis because A, they're not watching the media.
Yeah.
B, they're not reading and researching. That's why a lot of our people are so behind. They don't know the jobs of the responsibilities of a governor. They don't know the responsibility of a state representative. They don't know the responsibility of your city, your county commissioner.
Yep.
They don't know. And the information is out there, but they're not going to force you to know these things. This is why school must have government, the civil courses all the way up to first grade so you get to college. So you know each responsibility of this particular person, so you don't be so far behind in these issues and stuff. So when it comes to that, so thank you, Jezzo, for coming back on the show. And your show going to air again. And you're going to come back, I think,
in
the summertime. So
yeah, summertime.
Thank you, brother.
You're welcome. Anytime. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Now, we're going to shift gears here, and we're going to get into Storm Monroe. All right. We're going to shift gears here. We got Brother Storm on here. And on the behalf of Black women, we are deciding to investigate Storm Monroe. We are deciding to do a strong investigation of Storm Monroe about who and what he is sleeping with on the behalf of Black women. We have already started to look for apartments in the Atlanta, Georgia area so we can coordinate with our private detective about what or who is Storm Monroe is sleeping with. So we are deciding to do that. We're looking at the apartment today, and we are sending out an application about that as well to get more information about where and who or what he is sleeping with. So we have already in talks of moving to the city of Atlanta, Georgia. And he did come out and discuss that he was in jail, YouTube jail, and that's what he said he would. And so we're going to definitely keep you all updated with that. A lot of his supporters are coming at him, but we are not going to stop. In order for us to stop, we're not going to stop. We are doing this on the behalf of Black women across this country that have been bombarding us with emails and messages across the country and voicemails. And we are definitely doing that. We're going to be working very hard with our private detective. And we also going to be having, we're also going to move there as well. And so we are just trying to find information. Obviously, Storm is shaken by the news because he decided to respond to us publicly on our social media. And so that's what we're definitely going to do. And so we are definitely going to pay attention to that. I know a lot of people are saying that he went to Texas and all that very secretly. He came in the heat of the night, and we're definitely going to be breaking this down. One that we are advocating really, really hard for as well. I'm definitely trying to, get it to show people that we are here and that this is what we want to do. And we are definitely going to do it. I know a lot of his supporters are sending him emails right now, but we're not going to stop. So we have already sent out it and everything like that, our rent and everything. He came in the heat of the night privately, and I felt like he must be stashing a man. And we're definitely going to put it out there into our audience. You all will be the first ones to know about this as well. This is the same guy that interviewed a predator, and I was highly disgusted. And this is why I kind of threw Storm away from my channel, because he decided to interview R. Kelly, a predator, and he decided to laugh and cater towards R. Kelly, and yet he's a predator. This is the same man that got hugged and embraced with a hug, sat in the middle of a predator, Larry Reed. He sat in the middle of Larry Reed, another predator, and he decided to sit with him and to say to that man that he is not guilty, he is innocent, and in reality, he's not innocent. He is guilty, 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 and he did all of these things. And so we, on the behalf of Black women, we are definitely doing the Lord's work, and we ask that you all please hit our Cash App and support our mission to find out who he is. We also started an email address where you can email us. Some of y'all have emailed us at Wiley Show productions@gmail.com. We're just asking for people to understand and definitely do it as well, because we having some thoughts and we definitely doing some investigation and stuff like that. I do want to interview some of Storm Monroe classmates, former classmates when he was in that white fraternity. I wanted to know, did he even sleep with some of those white guys? We definitely have the email address. It is up and running. It is called WileyShowProductions@gmail.com. We ask that you please send us an email if you have any interactions with Storm Monroe, if you had any interactions with his white fraternity that he joined, if you know he got a white man stash or a Black man stash, you could always email us at WileyShowProductions@gmail.com. And I'm saying it here. Honestly, this is our press conference, and we are definitely using it as well. And I've done a lot of catfishing in my day. And so we have already started our Jack page and our page on Grindr to see if he's under a fake account in his area. So we are definitely doing this very, very heavily. And this is what we're doing. I know a lot of people don't like what I'm doing, but we're definitely doing it as well. So now we're opening up questions. If anybody got a question, we're opening up the questions. We got the phone lines open up as well. And now I'm looking at the chat. Any other questions? Someone said, Wiley, you are a pro at catfishing, so use your skills. Another person said, the Lord's work must be done. Got another person said in the chat, Jesso said, yes, he's smashing a man. All right. That man's name is Robert Kelly. Somebody said, I noticed a lot are bringing up, is he supposed to be popular? No shade. And we are definitely doing it about stashing the man. We're definitely working on that and stuff like that. I think I got a phone call. Hello? I'll have to call you back. Did you get in contact with Black Tea Blog? Okay. Well, let her know that I'm trying to get in contact with her private detective. Her PI. Yes. I'm trying to get in contact. I need his number. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need his number. So once you talk to Black Tea Blog, don't tell I sent you. You just say you need it, and then you send me the information. Yes. What day you can go in front of his house? Okay. Well, thank you. Just keep me updated. Yeah. I already know I'm receiving pushback, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the pushback. We need to know about that. I'm doing it on the behalf of Black women. Every Black woman that had a down low man and been exposed, I'm doing it on their behalf. Yes. All right. Okay. So we will definitely keep you updated. Okay. Talk to you soon. All right. Call me back. Okay. Bye. Okay. So thank you for making me laugh while I'm sick. Thank you, my brown skinned Barbie. I hope that God heal you in your body tremendously. And we're definitely doing this. And so we will be back live, you guys. Any other questions that you all have, we will drop the link in here. If you have any questions, I want to make sure we answer all your questions when it comes to stuff like that. Riley, who is the middleman between you and Black Tea Blog? I can't get into that. I'm talking to some Black women. That particular person is a Black woman. She's a huge advocate and friend of Black Tea Blog. At this time, I cannot discuss that person's name at this exact moment. I can't do it at this exact moment. That is something very private between me and that particular person. I can't at this time talk about that person's name. I can't, not at this time. I'm reading y'all comments here. I can't at this time. I can't. Yes, I can't. I get it. You can't reveal. I cannot reveal my sources at this time. But this person is a source. We're trying to get that private detective of Black Tea Blog. We're trying to get that. Any other questions? Okay. And I know a lot of people are going to say I'm obsessed. I'm not really obsessed because I don't want to tear up because I talked to a Black woman, Lindsay, and a Black woman out of Mississippi. And she was crying because she felt that Storm should be exposed because he's painting this picture that he's such a straight man. And I had to really, really console Lindsay from Mississippi. And when I was talking to Lindsay from Mississippi, I immediately took notes. And she said, promise me that you will get the truth. And I said, Lindsay from Jackson, Mississippi, I will get bottoms of this truth. And I talked to Lindsay, and Lindsay was crying. And she's from Jackson, Mississippi. And like I told her, I will immediately find out the truth. And these are the conversations and messages I'm receiving from all the conversations. And we are definitely breaking it down. Okay. We got somebody say, I get it, Wiley. He really switched up on you. I didn't like the way he did you on the interview. And these are the questions. And we are definitely breaking it down with it. We are investigating this. If, like I said, if you have any information about the man that he got stashed, you can always send a number 972-674-9462. That's 972-674-9462. That's 972-674-9462. If you have any information about the man he got stashed in that type of way. So that is the number. We are definitely going to break it down in a second. And we're definitely talking about Lindsay from Mississippi. We're definitely doing it for Lindsay. And so thank you all so very much for doing this, for coming in, answering your questions. We are definitely going to be talking about more people as well. And we are definitely going to be breaking it down with it as well. So to Lindsay, we are definitely going to doing it as well. So we're going to definitely break it down and do some more investigation. So we are working with Lindsay as we speak. Yes, we work with Lindsay. Okay. Working with Lindsay. They say you always said you believe Storm was straight. Now he's decided to block you. Here you go, flipping the script and harassing. Each time someone doesn't acknowledge you, you get vindictive. I thank you so very much. Free to evolve 00. I'm not doing it because he blocked of the crying tears. The Black women from Alabama all the way up to Dallas, Texas, those that are living in the projects that have been misused and those that have been catfish by the idea that Storm is a straight man. I don't believe that you should scam your followers claiming to be a straight man, claiming to be in a YouTube jail when you were stashed up with a man. And so we're doing this on his behalf. I already know I'm going to get a little pushback from his Storm chasers. I'm chasing a man that is in the closet, and I'm doing it on the behalf of Black women. Doing it on the behalf of Black women. So we are investigating this hardly, and we are definitely doing this. And we asking Storm that do something nice for your followers by coming out of the closet. And so we are definitely breaking this down. We will do more information about this and get into that. We definitely love Lindsay and from Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, to be exact. And we definitely are breaking this down. So, any other questions? I can take three more questions. Such a busy man. So, if we got any more questions, I can take three more questions. Wiley, what happened to the lady you were saying in Chicago? Have you spoken to her? I have spoken to her. Me and her is doing very well. Lifestyle with Abby said, quote, Black women living in the projects are not attracted to Storm. He's not attracted to him either. You're doing it for yourself. Leave that man alone. Thank you, Abby, for your response. And to answer your question to the Abby, I want to tell you, sis, I have to do it. I know you don't want me to do it, but I'm doing it for your daughter. I'm doing it for your son. So they would know they live in their truth. And I believe, Abby, you would want to know if your husband got a man stashed somewhere. And so I definitely doing it on the behalf of that. And so we are really investigating this. Again, if you want to contribute to our Cash App, you are more than welcome to contribute to our Cash App. So to you, Abby, we are definitely going to be doing it. And I know you're upset about it, Abby. But Abby, this is something I have to do on the behalf of Black women. So we are definitely going to be breaking this down on the behalf of Black women. And if you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. But this is my platform, and I'm deciding to do it. And we ask you all to invest in us so we can get the truth about Storm and about the man he humping or the man that's humping him. Okay? And so this is what we're doing as well, stashing this man. So we're definitely doing it as well. And a lot of people is believing it as well. Someone said, leave his truth alone. He's not married. You are pressed. A non-story. Well, he lied about his name. How do we know he's not married? Because anytime a man lie about his name, that he had a name before Storm, obviously he probably had a wife, probably married, that he's married to. We are definitely going to break that down in the type of level. Child Devil's alive. Storm said he's bisexual or straight. So we're definitely going to believe that. And so I can answer two more questions. If you got two more questions, I could definitely answer two more questions. I could definitely answer two more questions. I got two more questions that I could definitely answer. I want to say shout out. We did receive 2 Cash Apps today. Thank you so very much for the Cash Apps. I got 2 Cash Apps today. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions y'all have for me? Give me a second. So I said we need a live schedule. Well, sis, to answer your question, Joe and Lindsay, we do have a text list. We do not have a schedule at this time, but we do have a text list where you can text me directly if you want to be notified when I go live. We do have a text list. You can text Wiley to 888-534-4939. In the text box, type Wiley. That's Wiley. And the number is 888-534-4939. You were saying he interviewed R. Kelly, a Predator, but when he interviewed R. Kelly, you were saying that you would interview him too and ask him the right questions to make it make sense. Yes, he did not ask him the tough questions. We will ask him tough questions. Your next ex said, quote, have you already chose your panelists for Two Man and Lady? We can always apply and send me an email. Run, Storm, run. Lifestyle, we know Storm dates primarily white women. If he date women at all, he's a nerdy. Black guy from the suburbs. He may be straight or not. He's just not meant to be exposed. Let him tell his truth. I'm doing it to help him. And I'm doing this for and helping the people as well. And that's exactly what we're doing. We are prepared for any lawsuits. We haven't broken any laws at all. What law have we broken? Okay. Wally, I think those premieres were on your channel. The premieres did very great for our channel. Great views for our channel. All right. Okay. Wally, can you write R. Kelly? You guys are both from Chicago. There'll be a good interview. I will write him and tell him that I'm glad that he's in prison. Dear R. Kelly, I'm glad you're in prison. All predators must be in prison. Yes. Any more questions? Okay. It doesn't have to be two men and a lady anymore. It could be Wiley and two dope dudes. Oh. He need help out of the closet. So that's what we're doing. Thank y'all so very much. I'm going to be right back with another video. After show on Station Head. Okay. After show on Station Head. We will continue to do premieres. Please don't tell me how to run my channel. Do you tell Storm how to run his channel? Okay, you don't. Don't tell me how to run mine. All right? You don't even give $1. Okay? I will continue to do premieres. The premieres does great for our channel. Okay? 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 The premieres does great for our channel. So you can just calm down. Calm down. Thank you for your suggestion, but we will continue to do premieres. Okay? All right? Thank you. So this is not stalking lifestyle with Abby. This is content. Understand your laws, okay? Abby, would you like to call in, Abby? Abby, since you want to defend Storm, that's probably Storm himself under a woman's profile. So if you would like to hit the link, I will post the number as well, Abby. I dropped the link. Abby, are you there? Come on, hit the link. Come on. All right. Thank you. That's what I'm saying. All right. I will see y'all over there on Station Head. Okay. I'm going to do an after show on Station Head. Boo, boo, boo. I'll give you a second. Some of y'all don't even know about Station Head. So hold on. Let me do this right here. All right. Let me drop the link in here so y'all know where we live. Okay. Give me a second. Will you come on in the room? Come on in the room. Thank you all so very much. Oh, wait a minute. I don't want to do that. Wait. Hold on. Let me do this. All right. Moderators, this is open chat. Okay. All right. We got another live to do. Jezzo said, "How are you working and providing commentary on the Wiley Show?" They ain't working. They working from home. They can call in, but they don't want to call in because that's Storm Monroe. I know that Storm. Hey, Storm. He's under that female account. That's Storm. Hey, Storm. Okay. All right. I'll see y'all over there on YouTube. I'm sorry, on Station Head. Okay. All right. Thank y'all so very much. And we will see y'all in the next live. All right. Hiya. All right. See y'all in the next live. Okay. Okay. Because I got another live to do. All right. We're going to be real busy today.